Action! Hello and welcome to this very special Business of Film edition of the Filmmakers Podcast. Yay! Today we're cutting through the PR spin and diving straight into the brutal reality of the Cannes Film Festival and the marché de film. What actually sold, what the catastrophic mistakes producers made on the Croisette, and how can you use this intel to fund, produce and sell your own films this summer. I feel the landscape has drastically changed. The market perked up this year, largely because of the absence of the massive US studio packages. It kind of meant international buyers were suddenly hungry for independent films. We'll find out if that is true or not very shortly, because it was a massive year for genre cinema generally. The elevated horror and sci-fi proving to be incredibly reliable bets. Just look at the cinema right now. It is kicking off with amazing horror films, but the traditional festival schedule is completely dead, right? Executives were taking their most crucial meetings on the Saturday and Sunday before the market even officially opened. We'll find out more about that soon as well. Leaving in the middle of the weekend deserted by traditional film traders. Instead, the vacuum was filled by the tech sector, with the cassette heaving with AI and virtual production panels across the second week. The AI chat was interesting across the sort of social networks of the side of Cannes as well. I'm your host, Giles Alderson. Like many of you, I am deep in the trenches of the current market. I am currently navigating the festival circuit for you with my horror feature, Samadiva. And coming off co-writing and directing the indie thriller Session. You might also know my directing work. You might also know it from the National Film Award-winning thriller The Stranger in Our Bed, the World War II action film Wolves of War, and the horror feature The Dare. Drink. As a producer, I've recently helped bring projects like 3-Day Millionaire and A Serial Killer's Guide to Life and Repeat to the screen. So believe me, I'm just as desperate as you are to figure out where the market is actually heading. So to unpack all this and give you the unvarnished truth of what went down, we've assembled an absolute powerhouse panel. First of all, I want to welcome the brilliant Hilary Shakespeare. Hello, Hilary.
Hey, thanks for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Hilary is a director, writer and producer who, along with her sister Anna, forms the London-based filmmaking duo, the Shakespeare Sisters. She wrote, directed and co-produced the feature film Soundtrack to 16 and Much Ado. Recently, she wrote and produced Time Travel is Dangerous and is currently in post-production on the upside of Unrequited. But crucially for today's conversation, and I like writing this, Hilary built an extensive academic background in science and technology before moving into film, including an undergrad in physics at Imperial College. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true.
A master's in computer science at Oxford.
Yeah.
And a stint at the Oxford Robotics Institute.
Yeah.
Yes! So with AI absolutely swarming the industry right now, she's perfectly positioned to cut through the noise.
I like how it almost sounded like it was going to be like I did that in prepreparation for this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's really all it's come to be at this point.
Who's to say you didn't?
It's probably the only way I'm going to use it. And I don't know if I remember anything, so.
If he invites you back to another episode, you've got to do a lot of work.
That's it now. Can I
just make a quick correction from Shakespeare Duo to Shakespeare Empire?
Sure.
I think after the marketing efforts in Cannes and other ventures, that's the more accurate description.
That is the more accurate description.
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, perfect. How are you, Hilary? You good? Feeling
I'm
good after Cannes?
Yeah, very hungover after Cannes.
Still?
Still. Well, I came back from Cannes. I lost my voice, obviously, and was really hungover. And then I had a few days off, and then but then I had a wedding this weekend, so now I'm like back where I left.
Back where you belong with your voice gone. And
voice is
drinking.
already back to Cannes levels. I was like, I only took one night of singing, and then. Yeah.
And you sing very well as well, I recall.
No, I sing terribly, but I scream along with the music very loudly, and that's what ruins my voice.
That's what all that matters, though, to be fair. And next, we have a man who brings hard, empirical data to an industry that usually runs on ego and guesswork. Stephen Follows. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. By the way, even after my data, it still runs on ego. I don't even make a dent on how it runs. I'm just sniping from the side.
Yes, good for you. Basically, if you don't know, he's a prominent British film industry analyst, data researcher, producer, and screenwriter. He's widely recognised for breaking down the massive data sets that explain how the entertainment business actually functions, alongside producing over 100 short films and features like Baseline and The Grind, and being involved in the Guinness World Record book. And being involved, is the best way to say this, as an analyst in the Guinness book
Well,
of records?
To say it more plainly, I
Please.
keep records and I write some of the book.
There you go. That's the best way to do it. So if you've ever had the Guinness Book of Records as a Christmas gift in the last 2 years, Stephen's been involved.
Yeah, I was good. Thank you for that terms and conditions.
Terms and conditions. I was once in the Guinness Book of Records for having the largest penis.
What changed?
Well, it was in the library. The receptionist told me to take my dick out and fuck off. I'll cut that joke.
Oh, it was a joke.
Oh yeah.
Hang on, you guys aren't screen recording?
Stephen, how are you?
You need a demonstration, Charles.
No, please don't demonstrate. You good?
Do the question again and we'll do it.
Yeah. And how was Cannes for you, Stephen?
Cannes was great. It was busy as ever. It's so funny how some things are always the same and some things are different every year. So it's a bit of a blur because it's been a week or so and I've been traveling. So it now feels like the far distant past already.
I know, isn't it strange how quickly it can feel that way? But it wasn't. It was so close. Speaking of close, we have sitting in with us a very familiar voice. He's close to me in many ways, our very own Dom Lenoir. Hello, buddy. How are you?
Hello, very good, very good.
Good. He's a fiercely independent British film director, producer, regular host on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. He directed the multi-award-winning thriller Winter Ridge, which starred Alan Ford, an Emmy winner, Hannah Waddingham. It scooped up 16 festival awards and a successful theatrical release. His directing credits also include the early features, Aleister Crowley, Legend of the Beast, and he has recently been incredibly busy lately producing independent titles such as Time Travel is Dangerous with Hilary and the upcoming Bravado. Hey, Dom, how are you?
Very good, very good. Yes, been on a sort of rush of traveling as well, sort of before and after Cannes, which is good. Yep. And off with Bravado to Dances with Films in LA in a couple of weeks. So that's exciting.
Very, very.
Are you going to be in LA in a couple of weeks?
Yeah. Are you going to be there?
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send you the ticket link.
Always be closing.
Always be closing. It's only 15 quid.
That's why I work with Dom, really.
Shout out. It's on the 28th.
That's amazing. Dom, speaking of shout outs, we have our first networking event for about 3-4 years coming up. Yes. We're going to be screening Voidance. Tell us more about that.
So I was working on the cinema run for Voidance with Zoe Cunningham and Mariana and the whole gang. I've done a cinema run with them before, and they're really sort of go-getting independent filmmakers, and they really do a lot of it themselves. And I thought, well, as we haven't done our Filmmakers Podcast networking or our panel events in a very long time, the summer's coming up. We've just had Cannes. Like, what is there to do for the next couple of months?
What is there to do?
Hunting work. Why not bring all the filmmakers together, a very affordable cinema ticket, and a couple of hours of meeting all your favorite independent film friends at the Genesis Cinema?
Yes.
So, hey presto, we are combining forces, and on the
19th of June,
we will have networking and at 7:30, followed by the screening at 9 p.m, I believe. Yeah, and obviously the best Q&A host in the business closing the
Why? Who have we got?
Not us. Probably Connor and Francis.
That's a weird way to ask me, Dom, but I'm busy, I'm afraid. Sorry. Giles, do you mind taking it on for me?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Sure. That'll be on the 19th of June. Link to that is in the show notes. Come down. It's at the Genesis in London, 19th of June, Friday. It's going to be really fun, if nothing else. Networking, lots of fun. And you get a screening. If nothing else, it would be
nothing productive.
Nothing
enjoyable on the film side, but it might be fun.
It will be a lot of fun. More than might be. It will be. But yeah, that's what you get from it. Links in the show notes. But just come down, book it now. Why not? Fun. Yeah. And finally, giving us the absolute truth from the sales floor, we have Dimo Alexandrov. Hey, Dimo.
Hey, Giles. Thank you for having me. Appreciated the invite.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. Dimo, if you don't know, he's the heavy-hitting distribution executive with over 15 years of global experience. He's a long-standing head of distribution at the massive New Bojana Film Studios in Bulgaria, which I've talked about many times on this podcast, and the newly minted vice president of distribution at Quantify Sales, which is a boutique venture that officially launched at the Cannes Marché last year or this year?
Last year.
It was last year. Yes.
Yeah. It's been 1 year for us.
It's been a whole year. Wow.
Yeah. It feels like a couple of months. Yeah, as soon as we got back into the office, I was like, because we used the same office as last year. I was like, It felt like we were there like just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. It didn't
It's
feel
almost
like
hard
a
to
year.
quantify.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
There's just
Sorry.
smiles around.
I've had it for
Might have laughed
a
that
while
spell.
now. I need to get out of the way early.
Please get it out of the way early. So he maximizes content value across theatrical, VOD, and international markets. His Dimo's high-profile distribution and executive producer credits include The Expendables 4, The Bricklayer, The Piper, The Cost of the Crown, and The Dare drink. I'm incredibly proud to say he's currently handling worldwide sales for Samadiva, as well as international sales for Sessions. Yay!
The most important titles.
The most important titles, and Blurred as well. I'll give a shout out to Blurred. How was Cannes for you, Dimo?
Intense, but in a very good way, especially compared to last year. In a very good way. We had up to 90 meetings, I think. At some point, you and I, we spent some time in the last couple of days, and you saw me. I was standing as far from people as possible because I was just exhausted. And I just wanted to stay there and just enjoy the view instead of jump into another conversation. Not that I minded, but we had so many meetings, and fortunately for us, I think most of them were quite productive, and I think we're in a good place.
Isn't that fascinating? I think this is great for you listeners as well as for us in the room to get this directly from someone in sales and distribution who has to sit there meeting after meeting, someone pitching at them. I can't wait to ask you those questions about how that actually feels and what stands out and what doesn't. What can you remember from all that? How many of those scripts do you actually read when you say, great, send me the script? There's so many questions I can't wait to dive into. But first of all, let's get into this. What sold? What's the reality of the market? Stephen, I wanted to start with you. And again, what we're going to do, listeners, boys and girls, is do a bit of a quiz as we go along, have some fun with this, what sold, what didn't at the markets, what's hot, what's not, what you should do to get your film sold and made in 2026 and 2027 before Cannes next year. So, Stephen, looking at that data, are international buyers taking any risks on unproven directors right now? Or is the market strictly rewarding bulletproof packages and pre-existing IP? What's your buzz? What's the feeling? Just want to chuck a question at you straight away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people I spoke to, they're really struggling with the idea that there's so much more unknown. You know, the industry is changing, but also issues with Russia and Iran and things like that. Look, geopolitics, maybe even tariffs in America. People are sort of, what they're actually doing is being risk averse, but they're all using the word strategic, and they used it like that they'd invented it. They were like, what we're doing, don't tell anyone else. We're being strategic, and I heard that a lot. And what it really means is we're terrified. We don't know what we're going to be able to sell on to the next part of the chain, whoever you are, and so we're only doing immediate stuff now. And as you mentioned earlier on, or someone mentioned earlier on, there was there was no Hollywood studios really around, and also there weren't as many streaming deals as there have been in previous years. So it felt a little quieter on that front. But I think a lot of, certainly there's a lot more kind of cliqueiness in a way that is one way of putting it. But I guess the other way is Europe supporting Europe, thinking out for themselves. But there were some deals. The biggest deal that was reported was a $17 million deal to pick up Club Kid by A24. And Neon had the winner as well. They picked it up. It was the Palme d'Or winner. It was they picked it up before the festival. So here's my question for the group. Neon representing the winner of this year's Palme d'Or. How many winners in a row have Neon represented?
Wow.
How many in a row?
In a row.
In a row leading up to this year, 2026.
So on Nora, if it had last year, either 3 or 4, I would say.
Well, no, I'm not going to accept 2 numbers. You're going to have to pick one. Dom knows this.
I'm
firm
on Nora, so I would say 3.
3. All right.
Well, Dimo's given us some great little knowledge here.
When you say in a row, you mean like the maximum in a row. You don't mean like in a row since when they didn't win.
No, I mean that if you look back at all the winners going back in time of all the Palme d'Or, so this is the highest prize at the biggest festival.
Yes.
There has been a run. It's more. It's at least 2.
Okay.
that have had Neon have picked up. How many is that going right back without a single gap?
And by winners, it's the Palme d'Or, but is it also the other awards as well?
No. We're doing Palme d'Or. We're going all the way. Palme d'Or at Cannes. Wow. There's no higher kind of artistic praise. You could say the Oscars, but what's art got to do with that?
Yeah, Hilary, what are you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll just guess 3.
3. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was
Dom?
going to go 3 or 4. I'll go with
Well,
3.
again, as Stephen's just literally ripped Dimo for doing
It
this.
should be, it should be a
3.
higher number.
3
It's
was
just
my
quite
3 was my initial.
yeah.
I know it
Yeah.
might be 4 or 5, but I'm going to go 3.
Yeah, I would say as well, probably more, but just to be safe, 3. Because Anora was definitely neon. Last year was definitely neon as well. The previous year, the year before Anora, I just don't remember, but probably is again neon.
Well, they've all gone with 3, which means
we'll go down together.
I've got an
So
option
if
here
somebody-
to go
yeah.
for 4 and actually have the
And you
option of
win it all.
potentially getting a point, and you guys don't.
Well, only if you convinced that I'm going to accept a wrong answer that's less wrong than the others. Does that
Oh,
sound
I
like
see.
something I
It's
do, Giles?
closest. No,
Does
it's
it
not.
sound like me?
It doesn't. Oh, well, let's go for 5 then.
Oh, it's 7 in a row.
Wow.
7 in a row.
And
Wow.
7 in a row. Now, that's over 8 years because there wasn't one in 2020, but there's no one else that's won since they won Parasite in 2019. And then they've had every single one, like Triangle of
I'm
Sadness
thinking
and
of like
Anatomy of Fall,
Oscars.
Honora. Yeah, it was just an accident.
Why?
And Fjord. So isn't that amazing?
That's amazing. What a
Yeah.
stat. Wow.
But there is a sort of preface to that, which is if you look at how much, I mean, Stephen's the statistician, but if you look at how much their campaigns cost, there is definitely a correlation between money spent on campaign and winning. Not to say that the films aren't like very, very good quality, but they do famously spend a ridiculous amount of money, don't they?
Yeah, and it is. I mean, the Oscars, the link between the marketing money and the success is a lot more direct. But
Yeah.
what you're speaking to is exactly right, because it's also soft power as well. It's also they know which films to look out for to start with. They're tipped off. They know the right people. And then there's also the kind of how their films get selected. Now, none of this is corruption. I'm not accusing anything of underhandedness. It's just that the industry is quite a closed group. You know, the reason that the Oscars and the Palme d'Or don't overlap very much is because they're different cliques that are voting for them.
Yes.
And so it kind of makes sense. I think it used to be the case, I don't know if it still is or not, that Wild Bunch, the French sales agent, represented about half of all Cannes films. This was something from about 10 years ago, so I don't know if it's still the case or not in what way, but it is
yeah.
very, still is. Oh, brilliant. Well,
Yeah.
list is so lumpy that it can't be an accident. But I also don't go straight to conspiracy that it's corrupt. I think it's just that there is a small number of people who are making really exciting films that everyone decides are exciting. I'm not saying that they're the best films. They're the ones that everyone's decided have got that little magic dust. And so when you're in the know, and also you have the power to say if there's a bidding war, if you're Neon, you're in a very good place, partly because what Dom said, that they're going to put the money behind it, but also because they've been there before. I mean, if someone's unknown and trying to bid for a film against Neon, it would be brave filmmakers that go for the unknown.
I think that's so interesting. I think that's fascinating, isn't it? Basically, if you want to win the Palme d'Or, you want Neon interested in your film, right?
Yeah. And Neon know that. So what kind of discount do they get when they're negotiating with you? It's not a bad business practice, is it?
That's really clever. Dimo, from your side then, the sales perspective of it, did that absence of that massive studios not being there, did that affect the independent film market? Did that give indie films an actual chance this year, to give them more breathing room? I'm talking specifically about my films, Samadiva and Sessions.
Absolutely. Yeah. The important ones again.
The important one.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons. It's definitely a big one, but it's one of the reasons. The other one being the fact that the studio films are all the same lately. Not even lately, but in the last more than 10 years. And I think a lot of people got exhausted by them. The main problem is that nobody decided to go with the regional ideas. And at some point, I think that people realized that the only option for regional ideas was the actual indie filmmaking. Without it, you have the studio, and the studio wants to be safe. The studio wants to go always with a popular franchise, with the comic books. They want to go with all the big franchises. But outside of the big franchises, the only thing you have is indie filmmaking, because a big studio wouldn't bet 50 million to 100 million on a film like, again, Anora is a good example, or even the horror flicks, although they can be a bit cheaper. But yeah, that's the best way for independent filmmakers to find their audience. It's the indie marketplaces. It's not the studios. So yeah, that's the other reason for me. And the third reason being that the market is coming back to a I would say healthier place. I don't know if it makes sense, but it's definitely healthier, especially compared to last year, especially compared to even FM Berlin. It's in a better place, and you can see that people are looking for films to fill in their schedule by either 27 or 28 of next year's schedule. So yeah.
That's fascinating you say it's healthier. I love that because I was unsure sort of what I was hearing from the festival this year, whether it was healthier, whether it was quieter. It's so interesting from the sales perspective and distribution perspective that you're saying it was healthier. I love that. Hilary, on your perspective then on it, upside of requited, I don't think you were there necessarily to sell it because you already have things moving. But what did you feel from that and from what Dimo's just said? Did you feel it was healthier?
I mean, we were there, with the upside, we have a sales agent, so they were doing the work on that. And actually it was like, I really liked it because we went to their office and they like properly represented it in there. Like it was like properly on the walls. I'd not seen that before, so it's exciting for me.
That's exciting.
But yeah, we I actually think more my like lead up to Cannes probably gave me more insight than actually at Cannes, because in Cannes, we were more there to just network. We weren't selling. But before Cannes, we were putting in a lot of work into preparing for Cannes, and we did a lot of meetings like with sales agents to get sales agents and stuff. And actually we did a sales screening, which I think was one of the best things we've done. And yeah, that did bring up a lot of conversations. And like, I guess my insights are only really in my genre. But in terms of like rom-coms especially, sorry, my cat's just jumped on my desk.
Hello, cat.
Yeah, I feel like with rom-coms especially, like it comes back, it's more that risk-averse thing, but we were hearing a lot of people saying like they weren't really looking for high school stuff. They want like things with older actors because they want bigger actors and they really need like IP big actors. And I thought the high school stuff was quite interesting because they were like, no high school, because one of them said it alienates the audience that aren't at high school, which I thought was a bizarre thing to say because obviously like all of the films that I grew up with were like high school teen comedies. That was the main genre of like rom-coms.
Yeah.
So it's strange that people are now trying to say like, oh, things that skew young like aren't popular, but I think really what they're saying is like they just want big actors and they want sex as well.
Yeah,
so that was my insight.
Yeah. But you have got a couple of actors
like either very sexy like after or like really big like actor led.
But you've done super well on that because of the whole Baywatch thing, right? Afterwards, after the fact. I mean, that's been a big one, right?
Explain yourself.
Well, two of the actors from Upside of Unrequited are now some of the leads in the new Baywatch, which is a really big. It's great for us because Baywatch are putting like millions into marketing, and even though they're shooting it right now and it's not coming out till early next year, like they're already like pushing the actors really hard. There's loads of like behind the scenes stuff, and it's like a really big thing because also it's shooting in LA when barely anything is shooting in LA, and it's one of the. I feel like a lot of people are pinning their hopes on like it reviving LA. So yeah, I feel like Baywatch could be a good game changer for us.
That's so interesting. And Dimo, I'd love to get your take on that. Young adult or high school sort of comedies or musicals or films. Is that waning? Because, a couple of years ago, it's all everyone wanted after the Hunger Games and stuff. And horror is always very popular. Sci-fi, as I mentioned in the intro. What is your take from that, from the festival? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so these are still there. Not that they're still even there. That everybody wants them, and we know
young
that
adults.
The YA films are very, very interesting for the buyers. For some buyers, of course. For others, they still want the action. They want the Jason Statham films. They want the big ones, the tens of millions films. But when it comes to different genres, YA is definitely there. Horrors, as we mentioned, and I want to talk more about it later as well. But you mentioned, Hilary, as well, rom-coms. That's something that was missing from the last couple of markets. And when I'm saying last couple of markets, I'm saying probably 5 to 10 years. When you guys think about it, we haven't had proper rom-coms in the last several years, at least not good ones. And I think that's changing now. And yeah, I think that a lot of clients are looking for more and more romantic comedies. And yeah, I think that there's a market for it.
I think there's definitely been a comeback. I mean, there was that one with Paramount last year with, was it McKenna Grace and the other?
I'm regretting you.
That's it. Yeah.
Regretting
and
you,
there's been like three or four like in that kind of territory that have been like super, super popular.
Also book adaptations.
What's that?
Those are both Colleen Hoover.
Oh, well, there
Yes.
we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
Because this whole like book talk thing is really great because there's loads of people that are getting really excited about like particular books and then like kind of putting pressure on them to be made and then that kind of proves the audience before they even make it, which is cool. I mean, I would like to make some original rom-coms too, but also I'm happy to make book adaptations because I love doing that too. So
yes, because yours
but it has been a good in for the genre where they don't want to take any risks on like a new rom-com that might like be unproven, and especially because rom-coms are quite low concept. You know, it's hard to like have a hook that's like, that's a crazy idea. It's just like, it's usually the same formula. But I feel like the book thing kind of replaces that kind of needing to have a high concept hook.
That's
You know
interesting.
that, Giles, you were talking earlier on about the Guinness World Records. One of my proudest records is the least realistic genre, which is rom-com. And my justification was that when you look at the origin of movies, rom-coms are most, of all the genres, are the ones most likely to be not based on real life. Even horror is more based on real life than rom-com. And that's like, you have to, when you take
Especially
that, you have to accept
nowadays.
there are ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you judge that?
Yeah.
Well, so this is a script source thing. So like, are they based on real life or not, real life events? And it can be loosely inspired by. So even things like the Enfield haunting, you don't necessarily have to believe that there are ghosts to say that's based on real life. You can say the fact that people were talking about it and it was reported at the time makes it a true life story. So rom-coms have historically and consistently had the least credit source as real life, and
based on
it's
a
obviously
true
a
story.
and obviously the whole point of these records is to have fun, right?
Yes.
And so the saying the least realistic genre is to imply me being very unromantic about it, but it's just a funny little stat, and I enjoyed getting that in the book. But it's obviously for us as filmmakers, it's a much deeper topic than just that little one line.
Of course, but
good
what if another great stat, Dom, from your side then, in terms of the festival, just to finish us up on this festival, because obviously you were there with a couple of your projects as well. How did you find the markets? You got Bravado there in terms of selling things, but also your other projects. What did you find that worked when you got in the room with people?
I kind of feel like not everything, it depends what you're doing outside of Cannes, whether the Cannes is the place to like focus all your energy. And that sounds like a very vague thing, but I mean, I'd just been to America like the sort of preceding weeks. We're doing a festival tour at the moment and kind of not at the point where we're specifically looking for sales with that project. And with other projects, it's kind of there's things that are going on in the background. There's nothing I needed to go to Cannes for. It was more solidifying things, general meetings, catching up with people that I don't always catch up with. So this year was a little bit less focused business than usual. And I kind of am doing a lot more outside of the festival this year, just through the sort of a happenstance. I did feel like the general vibe was really good. I had a couple of very, very good meetings that were very focused while I was there. But I thought the energy was there. There was more events, there was more villa parties, there was definitely more people from America, even though there wasn't, much of an American film presence in the actual festival. So I kind of feel like it depends what you've got and what stage your films are, whether what you should be doing. And I suppose the one takeaway I would give is if there's not something that you need to be like shoving it around at the wrong time in front of people where it's actually just going to put them off or lose when the great timing is for a pitch is sometimes worse than just catching up, keeping in contact, getting ready for the right moment. So I guess that would be my sort of takeaway from having this particular camp.
I think Tom's experience there is spot on for what a lot of people are experiencing at the moment. There's a couple of things in there that are really big trends that lots of people are sharing with you, Dom. Like, for example, being able to do a huge amount outside the festival, whether that's physically outside when you're in the city of Cannes not getting a pass, or whether it's outside in the year, sending screener links, emails, Zooms, all that stuff. But also, people are still coming, and they're identifying why they're coming. And what you said was really spot on, which is that it used to be your only chance to see this person. And so you had to pitch, no matter the context. You had to be sort of blind to the fact that they're on the loo, or or they're in another conversation, or whatever, or they clearly don't want to be there. Whereas
Baffling in the toilet.
Exactly. I mean, if we were doing this podcast 10 years ago, we would have all gone, "That's your chance, go for it," whatever.
True.
Whereas I think now it's much more about relationships, and it's much more about just checking in, seeing that person, enjoying being in the presence of that person, respecting that person, so that when you then follow up with all the other methods you have, later, a few weeks later, you can say, "Oh, by the way, it was great to see you. I have a pitch for you." You can do that. So I think that is how it's shifting over the years. So it's not going to diminish, but it becomes shorter, sharper, and more intense, and less make or break in every second.
Yes, I
and
love
just,
that.
Just to quickly maybe loop in Hilary, something that Hilary and Anna do very well is they go to like loads of festivals across the world all the time. And something I've realized is just again, following what Stephen said, if you're sort of having meetings across different festivals, across different slabs of the year, just sort of showing your face in a different festival is kind of quite helpful. And you sort of get a different take on things, and people that might not be as open if you just see them once a year might be more amenable to things. And I kind of feel like that balance of seeing people outside of just this one epicenter kind of really does help overall.
Yeah, I totally agree. Dimo, from your perspective on that, seeing people again, sometimes they might pitch something to you, but is it just good for people to just have a general meeting with you? I know your time is so precious there and you're so tired, like you say, you don't want to just keep talking all the time if they've got nothing to pitch. Is it okay at Cannes for someone to go, "Hey, Dimo, I just want to come and have a general with you because I get to see you because we're not in the same country"?
Yeah, well, we did have several of them, actually. But again, we had to do our due diligence because we read a lot of the scripts before Cannes. Just like just what you mentioned earlier, we had to read several scripts so that we can set up meetings with a couple of producers there and go over their plans, see where they are, who they want to cast, and just go over the script and discuss the whole project. But random meetings, although we took several of them, we try to focus on the sales part of it because we have a lot of meetings and our main goal is to sell the films. So although that's our focus, we have several departments from both the studio, from Quantify, from the other companies of ours, like our head of production was there. We had one of our line producers there, and they had meetings with producers as well. So Cannes is not only sales, but it's just overall meeting with a lot of people, and you never know where the gem is hidden. So you can always discover something, and that magic can happen in Cannes most than any other time of the world, any other time in the year. Probably. Again, it can also happen via email. It can also happen via the other markets, but in Cannes, I think 99% of the people want to make something, go there. And it's still that place. It was slower in the last couple of years, but it's still that place now, which is very important, and we need to keep it alive.
Yeah, totally do. Hilary, as Dom just alluded to there, that you do go to a lot of festivals, you and Anna, and it's great. You get to see everything on the ground and what's happening. Do you find that sometimes your best meetings are the ones where it is in the pub or an event, or you're holding
you know me?
A glass of wine in your hand?
I think if I want a meeting with a particular person, I'll just make that meeting whether it's Cannes or not. So like we have a lot of meetings like in LA or in New York or in London, when we go to those places to do that stuff. And then that's like the more targeted stuff where it's for a reason. Like if I'm trying to pitch a project, then I meet the people that I think I should work with on that. And it's got nothing to do with really being in Cannes. But then what I like about Cannes and like AFM and like, the main ones that I go to, I guess, it's like more the serendipitous stuff, like the people that you don't know what they're going to bring up, and you just make friends. And then it turns out, like actually with Upside Down Requited, when we started looking for sales agents, I've made so many friends at all these different festivals, and I was like, who would you guys recommend? And like a lot of my friends, like we did like a screening for sales agents in LA and asked some of our friends, like, which sales agents do you know that you think we should invite? And could you like put us in touch and invite them and stuff like that? And, some of those people I met years ago. So it's like, you don't know necessarily what you're going to find. So I just think keeping up with everyone is like the best.
It's the best thing to do.
Yeah, and my favorite thing in Cannes is just being in the bars. Like I do go to like parties throughout the day and stuff, but I actually think like I meet the best people in like Brown Sugar or the Barrel or Pretty Majestic or whatever. Like,
exactly, because it's an honest environment.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not coming down for a meeting to sit about. So you're just like, hey, what you up to? What you chatting about? And obviously you can chat about to a lot of wrong people. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but in terms of
wrong uns.
You're like, oh my God, I'm wasting my time talking to you. But that's okay too, because you're meeting, you're making connections, you're having this all the time. I think is really useful as filmmakers. Stephen, from the sort of data side of it, do you have anything on that sort of I suppose, the benefit ratio, independent filmmakers attending Cannes without the pre-booked meetings? And is it worth it just to go, hey, without a badge? I suppose you sort of touched on it before. I think it's really interesting to know.
Yeah, so that's something I've been looking at. I mean, I discovered something this year that I thought was fun, which is that, I always get people pitching movies to me and I can't fund them and I'm not interested in their pitch, but I don't want to be rude. So I've discovered a nice way of getting rid of them.
Yeah, how'd you do
that? I found a good way of getting rid of them almost immediately, which is they're like, hey, I'm this person and I'm here with this project. And I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Stephen. I use data to prove that films don't make money. And then they leave. I mean, and actually thinking about it, I was joking before, but one guy did do that to in the washroom communal toilets in the Grand, what's it called now? The Mondrian. And like genuinely, I'm washing my hands.
It'll always be the Grand.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's the old school, right? But yeah, for those who haven't been to Cannes before, there is a famous hotel called the Grand that was renamed, I think, a number of years ago called the Mondrian. Still call it the Grand. But they have unisex toilet cubicles, but then everyone washes their hands in the same place. A guy came up to me, right next to me, and was pitching me, and that's exactly where I discovered this line of just proving films don't make money, and he just left, and it was great.
That's great. Great.
But yes, it's interesting because I had some friends who brought over some significant people outside of film, but within had a lot of money and were really invested in films. And he struggled to get them to get passes. And also Ted Hope, a good friend of mine who's a legendary producer.
Oh, he's got a great book out called Hope for Film. It's brilliant.
And amazing. Yes. And also produced so many Sundance nominated films. And anyway, just a real force for indie film as well. He decided to not get a badge and to focus more on meeting people, but in less of the aggressive way, exactly as we're talking about. And he seemed to have a whale of a time. So I think the badge is becoming less and less important because, exactly as everyone's been saying, those meetings are happening informally outside of the main organized places. So I think that's something that's going to keep happening as it's shifting. And Cannes knows that. So they're starting to make requirements that you have to have a badge if you also want to go to this event, or if you're it's more companies they're putting pressure on than people. But when I looked at the numbers, actually the attendance this year for badges was higher than last year. It was something like 16,000, not 15,000. So clearly what's happening is that there are different cohorts of filmmakers, and we've all been to Cannes a number of times between us. And I think that what happens is that there's still a lot of people coming up through that early pipeline. And I'm sure it's the same as it's always been, but there's a lot of people who think they can buy their pass and just turn up, and they'll probably fail at their core missions, but they'll all end up at the Pretty Majestic or at the Barrel together, having all failed, quote unquote, commiserate, network, and build those connections they needed all along. So I think it's the real missions that you go with when you're early stage are just MacGuffins, but you just need to be there for all of the reasons we've talked about, and you get to see it really working. And my main advice for Cannes is not to go with not for your first time to be the time that really matters. Go at least once when it doesn't matter. I've been going for 20 years when it doesn't matter, so I'm really ready for if it ever becomes important. But it is interesting to see how that is shifting, but that does give me hope that it will be there for a while.
Yeah, I think in terms of the badges, I mean, it's an interesting one. If I think about how much time I actually spend in the badge area, it's usually like the sort of annual nostalgia tour. It's like go around the market. I mean, there's not usually that many people in the market that I either don't know or haven't spoken to before. So it's just a nice nostalgia trip around the market inside. And, the pavilions, if there's any specific co-production event I'm looking for, that's where I feel like, maybe the, people that have been in the industry for a very long time might be attending. If there's like a co-production with Spain and you've got a movie half set in Spain, like those events are going to be very useful for specific commissioner meetings and, high net worth individuals maybe, or at least producers from certain companies. But other than that, like, I mean, as we've alluded to, like the bars, the actual events that are, you know, along the waterside on the beach, the hotels, the villa parties, all the stuff that you get from knowing the industry and having, you know, some kind of connections, 99% of them aren't badged. And, you know, a lot of that whole marketplace area that the badge allows you to is kind of for either those specific co-production type meetings, maybe something at the American Pavilion or the UK Pavilion if there's something specific, but it's a lot of new filmmakers. So
when you say
you
badge,
can definitely survive without it.
Do you mean like the Marché badge or the 25?
No, just the general.
But then
general
why
badge.
wouldn't you get the veteran badge? It's only like $25.
Well, that's true. That is true. But my point is, you can but I mean, I know people that haven't been able to get the standard badge because so many people.
Yeah, if someone can get it, I'd
applying.
probably say still worth going. But
a lot of people don't feel like it is, and I feel
it's
like
worth getting the badge.
Yeah, it's definitely worth getting the badge because it's only 25, euros. But if you can't get the badge and you're at a reasonable stage in the industry, I think it's still worth going. And as Stephen says, like the first time you go, it's just learning the layout because there's so many places and there's so much going on and there's so many people and areas and the sort of the rhythm and where you go after the events that you need to learn. It's just worth feeling it out.
Yeah. One thing I would say that I have noticed has changed, and this is a whole area that when I started going to Cannes, people were like, when you're early stage, this is the most important things to get good at Cannes, is now not completely gone, but is so radically transformed. And this is all down to the QR code. So it used to be the Cannes blag was the most important thing. You stand outside the party, smoking a cigarette, ostentatiously put it out, walk back in as if you've just come out for a cigarette break, or, my name's on the list or whatever. Like the blag of getting in, my favorite was, speaking into a microphone, looking off into the far distance as if you're doing a long shot live recording and just walking in, talking. All that sort of stuff is it's not dead, but it's completely changed because now they just want to scan your badge and they don't care. The QR code of all these parties. But all that means is that you've got to try other things or everyone on the same level is being rejected and all going to the same places. So you're meeting the people you need to meet anyway. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It's easy to be overly nostalgic, but it is interesting. If you were to go back 20 years and look at the list of tips for people going to Cannes, I would say 70% are exactly the same. The differences are probably business cards, carrying cash, but also the blag would be the biggest transformation.
Do you guys remember the first year they started doing QR codes and you could Photoshop the QR code and they were like, oh, I don't know why it's not working. And you're like, I don't know. I'll just go in there.
I mean, I don't want to like reveal any trade secrets, but I mean, there's still ways around this. Like
there is
for every party list that you're not invited to, there's a solution.
Yes.
I feel like people will adapt. The QR
they will adapt.
Some events that have very good QR codes will always stop you. Some of them you'll either be able to talk your way in or figure something out.
Dom, QR codes. Can you just look at a QR code and know what the number is, like some savant?
You can look it up.
Dom has that.
I've tried to
I'd like to be able
organize it before, like scan it and then like edit the numbers and then remake a new QR code. But it's worked for me like once and then it never worked again.
The best blag I saw this year, which didn't work, but I love the hustle. In the last few years, they've been given sort of colourful bands around your wrists.
Yes.
Yeah. That you then get in and you could stay in and come in and out with these bands. So this wonderful filmmaker I met this year, she showed me, she said, I've got something to show you. And she opened up a purse and inside was colourful bands for every single potential party and every single colour of the rainbow. Yeah. But this year was useless because it was all QR codes, but she brought them all just in case. And we were like, that's brilliant and hilarious blag.
Love a good band.
Yes. And
holding it together with like one hand because it's ripped off.
And just trying to get in, so stealing it from someone else and jumping across the beach parties.
But
was always
also
a
you
favourite.
could be like, if it's QR codes and they've scanned it and it's already gone through, you can just be like, oh, I've already been in.
Yes,
or you use someone's QR code that
plenty of
blags.
But
I actually didn't sneak into any parties this year, and I think that's why it was my least fun Cannes.
Yeah.
It ruined it, really.
Into one. I didn't really do much of the sneaking or the talking, but someone else just talked me in, and I was like, okay, I'll go there.
Talked you into it. Yeah. You must come in here, Dom. You must. Oh, all right, if I have to. Dimo, then talking about sort of mistakes, bringing it back to in the room, and when people are pitching you or selling you something. Obviously, you're there to sell your films, but people are also pitching to you. 2 questions. First of all, how was it with the distributors? But the main one, first of all, to start with, in terms of when people were pitching pitching with you? What mistakes did they make? What was it that didn't work for you? What did you remember as well? What were the sort of hot topics that worked?
Yeah. So just to say something which Steven said earlier about the badges, because he mentioned something which I noticed as well, especially in the last couple of years. The Cannes Film Festival is limiting people who don't have badges. I think that they need to be motivating and stimulating people to purchase badges. That's the proper way to go instead of limiting. If you try to limit somebody, there is always a go around. So yeah, they need to be motivating people. Regarding the pitches, it depends on the person, depends on who's listening to the pitch, and depends on, it depends a lot. For me, the most important thing is to be direct. Because we already, Steven mentioned that, there are so many people pitching you various stories. Their story is the best one. Nobody's ever heard about it. It's the best script. It's gonna make millions. He's gonna cast, I don't know, Adam Driver is almost there. The whole package.
Yeah.
But for me, what stands out is being direct, being honest, and saying, and knowing where you are, what you need to do. Just having the proper know-how of what you need to have in order to cover your side of the production. So, for example, a producer or a scriptwriter or a director comes to us and he wants to pitch something. He needs to know the basic stuff. It's not only about the story. It's not only about the cast. It's just about 3 sentences about the story, which is the proper pitch. Then cast. You need to have 2 names for the protagonist, for the other lead, then for the antagonist. You need to be ready with them. Then you need to know your finances. You need to know budget, depending on, again, where you're shooting, where you want to shoot. That's the other thing. Where do you want to shoot? Do you want to shoot in the US? Do you want to shoot in the UK? Do you want to do a co-production between a couple of European countries as well? Outside of Europe, again, depends. But you need to know all these stuff. There are a lot more as well. And that should be included in the pitch. When it comes to script pitches, that used to happen, I think, more in the past. Now the pitch needs to include the practical stuff as well. That way you're showing that you can handle it.
So interesting, isn't it?
I think it's like, if there's 1,000 people that all just have a script, then you've kind of done the very minimal. You're almost. It's a very, very early stage actually of a project to approach a sales agent with, right? You haven't found the location, you haven't narrowed down where the tax credits might come from.
Sure.
You haven't thought about what the schedule is, what the line budget might be. You haven't thought about who, which niche of finance the genre sort of fits into. And the more I've sort of gone through things, it feels almost crazy to not specify and do like so much of that groundwork before any conversation with anyone, because it just feels like you're in the same 1% of very starting out, like even with the best script in the world, unless you've got like one very rare producer that's going to come along and be like, yes, this is the best script ever, I'm going to do everything for you and take this to the races, which I just don't think happens anymore because people are too busy unless you've got some amazing relationship. Do you find a lot of that people come just totally at ground zero almost with
Yeah, and that's when it doesn't work, because you have so many people who are at ground zero. And the one who stands out is the guy who's properly prepared. If you're going to Cannes, if you're spending all that money on Cannes, if you're setting up meetings, at least make sure that you have the knowledge. You can always reach out to a producer. You can always reach out to a line producer. Spend a couple of $100 on just basic knowledge of what the budget might look like. Work around the cast. Figure out a couple of names. They shouldn't be A-listers. They should be a cast. Again, if it's an indie film, if it's a genre film, it can be made between 2 million and 10 million. Just work around the proper names which work for your project, because I've received so many pitch decks, and in most of them you see the same people over and over again. What's the point in having them when everybody knows that there's a 99% chance that you won't be getting them? right? Unless you have 2 million for a single person, So get prepared. If you're going there, do whatever you can to acquire more knowledge and to be prepared to have that meeting.
That's a very good point on that in terms of cast, because it can be very difficult for us because there is only so many names, especially with a rom-com that can sell. Horror is slightly different and you might not need the names, but let's say a rom-com or a sci-fi and you're going, well, we need those names. You go, well, if we come in with, and again, this is great to know from your perspective, we come in with lower names that aren't, no offense to any names, but you sort of go, well, and you go, yeah, they're not going to sell the movie or the TV show. Suddenly now we're going, oh, well, that was our only chance. Whereas if we come in with bigger names, even though you think we might not get them, at least we're aiming high. Or is that not work? Does it not work to aim that high?
Well, again, I wanted to get back to it, and it's worth mentioning now, especially this week, because of Obsession. I think we all know about it. I think we all know about its domestic box office results. And it's a very good example. Again, it was produced by extremely experienced people, but at the same time, it doesn't have any cast. The budget was extremely low. It was sold to Focus for way more, 10 times more than how much it was produced for. And now we know how much money it made. This is a great example of what you need to do, because even with horror, you don't have to have big names. You just need to have that original idea, but to know as well how to execute it, right? So, again, Obsession is a very good example. It doesn't apply to 99% of the films, but it's a very good example that you need to know of, and you need to be aiming at something like that.
Right. Yeah. Dom?
I was just going to say, I think it's a really interesting one to sort of focus on. And it's almost like a different conversation if your movie fits within a genre that doesn't require cast or it doesn't require cast as much. I mean, what Giles said there, I kind of feel like maybe objectively it's worse, just as bad to have actors that aren't the right level for that are too low than too high for your budget. I mean, it should kind of be like figuring out, maybe ask other producers that are higher up in the food chain, like, okay, this is the budget, this is the genre, what percentage of the budget should my lead be? What are we going to pay them? And then what actors are sort of, I feel like that due diligence is often sort of skipped in a lot of cases. And that's why you end up with someone that's too low or too high. And it's just actually not relevant. It's not a case of like, well, we can't get this person because they're too high, we can't get this person because they're too low. You kind of have to almost understand what the number is and then what actor would accept that. And then that might be realistic for said person.
Yeah, well, it depends a lot on the genre as well. If you want to produce an action film, you still need to go the expensive cast way. You can't go around that. But with the other genres, there is a way to go around it. Not with all of them. You can't expect big pre-sales. I want to be honest with that as well. You can't expect big numbers. But if you do it smartly, if you do it with all the knowledge possible that you can acquire at that time, I think you can have a proper film. Again, if the script is very good, because you never touch a script which is mediocre. You need to work with always very good scripts. And then again, during post-production, you make compromises with them and they end up being not that good movies. But you need to start with a script. You need to work around the cast. But there's always a way to make it happen, right? It's not only about the big names in some of the genres. And we're seeing it now in the current market.
I love that positivity. That's good, right? That's nice.
Neon's films are a good example. They went for the good films. They bought the good films. They don't necessarily have big cast, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Stephen, have you got any, I was wondering if there's any kind of facts, figures on people who've actually made deals in Cannes that have actually come off? Because as we all know, we've all been in the room where we've had someone say to us, yeah, we're going to make your movie. Yeah, we're going to £2 million. It's done, right? This is for you, or 10 million. There's so many times that has happened, and we've come away from Cannes and go, oh my God, I've got a deal. It's happening. And a month goes by, 2 months, 6 months, and actually that's not at all the case.
So you want me to try and quantify the level of bullshit in the film industry?
And using quantify is a great
numbers
way.
big, unfortunately.
Quantify it.
If you could quantify that for Quantify.
Please quantify it. Yeah,
Yeah,
would appreciate it.
I don't know. I don't think you would. I don't think you want to know.
Really?
I don't know the answer, but I imagine that it's incredibly high because it is the nature of it. Like I'm not defending it at all, but that is the business functioning as it functions. Maybe it could be more efficient. Maybe it's not fair. So I'm not venerating it, saying it's like a good system, but this is actually the system. And some of that is that some of the reasons, as we were saying earlier, about being seen at multiple festivals or multiple Cannes is about proving that you're in the industry, that you're active, and therefore more likely to know things that people are going to later rely on. And there's a thin line between things like nepotism and insider dealing on the one hand, and on the other hand, proving that you've been there for multiple years, and so therefore they're unlikely to have some of the problems that you might face with a first timer who just doesn't know how things work. I can never tell, and you always see good and bad examples of it. But there is, and also it massively helps people with networks, families, and money and privilege, and so it just reinforces, privilege and things like that, which is definitely a bad thing. But it is just a shorthand for I'm going to have if I do a deal with this person, whether I'm acquiring a film or working with them on making a film, there's going to be thousands of micro conversations and things I'm going to need to rely on them for. How likely are they to have the same principles as me, even if they disagree, but enough that, I can't be here training. I mean, if you're picking up or funding 10 films, you can't be training them. They need to know. So that works as a shorthand. And largely, it's quite effective. There's unlikely that someone's going to be at 3 years in a row and really not know how things work. I mean,
yes,
it's possible.
But there are ones that are.
Yeah, they work quite hard.
There are a lot.
Unfortunately, they're quite hard to get away from.
As I said, I wouldn't ever claim it's either a good or an efficient system. But we need to have systems for filtering that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, I know it was a slightly tongue-in-cheek question about measuring bullshit, but I think it's you just have to keep going. A lot of it is attrition, but fortunately, if you do turn up, and exactly as Hilary was saying, there are cheap ways of doing a pass. You can, eat out of supermarkets. It's south of France. Their worst food is better than every bit of food in Britain, and so then you can go to these bars and pubs and nurse a beer for as long as you can. Like that's no one would call that affordable, but no one's going to call that completely out of the reach of every filmmaker.
Yes.
And I think it's how you use that time.
It is how you use that time. And I find it quite fascinating how so many filmmakers will not learn the lessons each year. They come back with the same project or peddling the same thing, not understanding the market, as Dimo said. Something I touched on at the beginning and that I found in my research was that the market this year in terms of sales and deals were done, because normally it's done on that main weekend when all the filmmakers turn up. But apparently this year it was done in the weekend before.
Yeah.
Is this true, Dimo? And what happened? What was the change this year?
Yeah, we actually had several meetings with with several buyers, in which they told us, well, we already acquired a couple of titles, so we don't have a budget for your title.
Wow.
And it was kind of surprising for us because we had a lot of, I won't say a lot, but several virtual meetings with buyers pre-Cannes. I think we were quite prepared, but apparently a lot of the people went there even earlier, started having their virtual meetings even earlier. So as Hilary mentioned, it's not only about meeting in person in Cannes, it's just knowing that the industry needs content. They need it for 27 and 28. And you need to approach them as quickly as possible because they need to fill in their schedules.
So interesting. So let's talk about budgets real quick then.
Yeah.
Because in terms of where budgets are at with filmmakers, everyone's sort of saying the sweet spot is around the 1.2, 1.5, especially for horror at the moment. Now, What's your perspective on that generally in terms of the filmmaking, obviously with and without stars? Where do we feel we're at? Because I think we're all guessing at the moment. We've kind of got this guesswork out there as filmmakers of sort of going, well, the budget could be 5 million. And that was something I remember Dom picked up on we were talking about before, is people shouldn't be going there going, well, my budget's around 5 million, but I could make it for 300 grand, because that just diminishes everything you're
Absolutely,
talking about.
you haven't done your due diligence.
Yeah,
as Dom mentioned earlier, you need to be prepared. If you're gonna say between 300 and 5 million, then what do you even know about any of the numbers?
Nothing.
Yeah. So the other thing which I forgot to mention is, then I'm gonna get back to your question, is know your audience. If you're pitching, know your audience. You need to know who you're talking with. You can't say, because I received so many emails with a lot of pitches, and none of them address me or my company. What's the point in sending these emails? Probably it works for somebody who wants to acquire scripts. They pay a couple $100, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to achieve something tangible, just find out who you're sending the email to. Say a couple words. I know that your company worked on this and that. That's why I think that my project would be suitable for your company.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
even I get those emails, and I'm not even like,
yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
I don't know. I'm not going to make your
nobody
film, no.
learns their lessons not nobody, but most of the people don't learn their lessons. Why send these emails when nobody pays attention to them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, just a quick one on that earlier question Giles mentioned as well. Like in terms of like whether it's 500 or 3 million, I feel like it's A plus B plus C, and A plus B is like what the genre is and what you budgeted at, and then C is like the cast and that goes with that, and then you see if that makes sense. And if that formula doesn't make sense for the genre, then you don't make it that level. And I feel like the worst form of pitch when someone like tells me about their project and they're like, well, it could be this or it could be that. It just shows they haven't thought about any of that, how that interconnects and where the market would be, and what sales agent might buy something at 300k with no cast, or 5 million with this level of cast.
I
It
would
just sort of
say
shows a
just-
complete lack of like kind of research into it.
In defense of those people, or to play devil's advocate a little bit,
Please do.
like if you've got a story, right, and you're actually like that story, say it is a rom-com. I'm not saying that I'm unprepared, obviously, but like when a lot of films, like the honest truth is they could make it for 500,000, or you can make it for 3 million, or you can make it for 8 million.
Yeah.
And the only difference is the cast. And that I guess makes it a big, I mean, obviously the cast dictates how much you spend around them as well. But like, I mean, I've had films before where like I was pitching them for like maybe 5 to 8 million, and then we've ended up making them for less, and we've made them. So, and it's the same story.
You have, but you're also like exceptionally resourceful and adaptable, and I think you might be like more of the.
I mean, you
the
might want to
exceptions.
make it for. I mean, if we made it for 8 million, we'd have more famous people in it. So obviously, you have to scale. Like, if you want to sell it for 8 million, you've got to have someone more famous in it. But the story doesn't necessarily call for its budget. The story could be made for nothing if you made it with like a bunch of the actors that are your friends or whatever.
True.
So
although if the budget is like the above the line, the below the line are budgeted for one, and that's kind of what you're presenting in your pitches, and then they've got the cast, and then you're like, well, we could do it for this. When you present that as like, we could do it for this or we could do it for that, and you haven't got anything to sort of back it up, I don't know. I feel like that doesn't come off super
I mean, I guess
strong,
it depends what stage you're at. Like, if you're asking people to finance it, you have to ask them what money you're asking them for,
sure.
obviously.
Well, why don't we ask the expert in the room, Dimo, from your perspective on this then, in terms of people who do say, I could make it for this, that and the other. Do you want them to say that? Or do you want them to actually go, I'm making this for 2.5, and then later you bring it back down to whatever because you haven't got the cast?
Well, we don't want them to say one number or another. We want them to, when we ask them questions, we want them to answer them with knowledge. We want them to know what they want, how they want to achieve it. Whether it works for us, we don't know, but it might work for somebody else. You just need to know how to respond to a question. For example, why are you getting For example, again, a big name. Let's not use a name, but why are you getting this big name? And he comes to me and he tells me, because it's going to sell. And I'm telling him, how do you know that? Do you know whether the project works without it or not? So for me, it's more about going over a proper Q&A with the producer or whoever it is. But for me, it's always a producer. If you're pitching, I don't think of you as a script writer. I think of you as a producer because it's your project. So for me, it's more like knowing how to answer and knowing what stands behind the project.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And to answer the other question I brought to you in terms of selling and what works, what doesn't at the moment, what is the 1.2 to 1.5 about right? If it's more, is it, well, you better have Jude Law or Brad Pitt, etc.?
Well, yeah, if you have Jude Law or Brad Pitt, it doesn't work. Definitely, it's far from it. Yeah, I would say yes. Again, depends on a lot of things. Where are you shooting it? How long? Schedule. Day of days. You need to know the schedule of the actors as well. You need to know how long you need your leads for, because you can get, if you want to cast somebody for 2 days, a bigger name for 2 days, he's obviously going to be quite cheaper. So yeah, I would say that this is a number which works, but if it's a strong story and it shouldn't be contained, I mean, it shouldn't be in a single house and can be done in several locations, then it can go a bit higher as well. But depends a lot on the story.
Well, then let's quickly talk about returns, because that's obviously, it's great as saying we can make it for 1.5. Let's stick at that level. But then we've got to talk about the returns. Is the market open to this at the moment? Is the market saying, yeah, we'll give you, in terms of sales on this? Obviously, we've seen what the film that did extremely well in Cannes and did for 17 million. But what about us as independent filmmakers that don't have that kind of deal on the table? Are films being sold for this amount? Are distributors and companies wanting, films at this level?
Well, again, it depends on a lot of things. For example, is it a known director? If you have cast, it's definitely a contributing factor. But for a lot of the films, especially horrors, which don't have that recognizable cast, clients usually want to watch them. Clients usually want to screen them before they can make a decision whether to buy it or not. If it's a good product, like, again, Obsession was shown at TIFF. The interest in Obsession started before that, but it was showed at TIFF. And the success at TIFF brought focus to the table and brought focus with a high number. So with these films, I wouldn't call them a pre-sellable titles, but if executed properly, you can expect great returns.
That's good to know for us filmmakers. Stephen, what's your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's just worth representing here is that if you take more money, you lose control. You lose more control. Like, it's not exactly linear, but you as filmmakers should take the minimum amount of money you can to tell your story full. Now, that's a very vague statement, deliberately so. And it's not to say that more money is always bad, but there is a cost to money. And if you take 5 million and you could have done it with 2, there is an argument you'll make less profit. But that, even separate to that, you're going to have people, different kinds of people, maybe more people, but certainly different kinds of pressures on your shoulders, that maybe that's not what you need. And it was interesting to see in the frothiness of, like, budgets, and also of AI, and Meta was one of the main sponsors of the technology side of the festival, and all these conversations about AI films. There was a really interesting counter movement that sprung back up again, which speaks to this budget thing, which was the Dogma 95 movement. Yes. And last year there was a Nordic revival of it, Dogma 25, and then there was a German contingent, I think, this year brought films, and then Mia Bays, who's finishing her contract at the BFI, head of the Film Fund, later this year. She's announced that she's going to do a program of UK Dogma films, and I thought that was really interesting, that people are pushing back from that larger scale. And you asked me, Giles, to come up with some questions. So I have managed to successfully avoid defining Dogma 95 here because you guys are going to do it. So I have a list of the 10 official rules for Dogma 95, which, without wanting to be awkward, to me looks like 12 because some of the sentences have 2 bits in them. But I'm going to give a point to every rule that you guys can name, and then no one could do all of these. I'd be shocked I couldn't do all of these. So when we run out of the ones you guys can think of, and all the points have been, I'll fill in the gaps. I don't know. Let's do a free for all. What are the rules of Dogma 95?
I mean, I guess I'm not allowed to ask what Dogma 95 is.
No. Oh, I see. I'm
that's
going to explain it all, but like, if any of you happen to know, it's a lo-fi film movement that has a series of. So it's a lo-fi.
It's a movement defined by these rules that we're supposed to.
Danish,
exactly. And it was announced in 1995 in Wittenberg, and it was a deliberate pullback from the idea of constructed art and expensive things. What were you saying, Dom? There's a budget limit.
Under a million, maybe.
Nope. There's no budget limit on this, although there is inevitably going to be. It would be very hard to spend a lot of money on a Dogma film, and you'll see why in a minute. But no, actually, there isn't a number on that.
Because there's supposed to be 12 or 15 of these. I'm going to go for a no location. It's kind of like the Dogma films I saw were pretty much in like they didn't have a set at all. It was just drawings on the ground like a theatre piece.
Yeah. I remember that film Dogma.
That's right.
That's one of my least favourite films I've ever seen.
Trier, I think.
Funnily enough, that's actually the reverse of one of the rules, and it's confusing because that is the title of the film. You're absolutely right, Giles. It's unfair for you to lose. Actually, I'm not going to make you lose
minus point.
Yes,
minus one. I had one question so far.
No, I know.
Give me a minus one.
Right. Yeah. But it's funny. So the rule around locations on Dogma 95 is that it must be done on location. Props and sets must not be brought in. So if the particular prop is necessary for the story, it must already be at the location when you found the location. So you can already get a sense how extreme these rules are.
Is there a natural
and why
lighting
it would be hard
clause?
to spend some of the budget. Say again?
Is there a natural lighting clause?
There is, yes. So you're not allowed to you are allowed sort of one lamp on the camera if you have to, but no special lighting. The film must be in color. That's the sort of portmanteau rule. So if there's too little light, you either cut the scene or you have a single lamp attached to the camera.
Is there also no makeup, hair, costume type thing as well? Is that part of it?
You'd think
you do
it
yourself.
I don't. Yeah, it doesn't actually say that on the official Vows of Chastity rule, but I would absolutely say that I'd be astonished if you could, exactly as Dimo said, I'd be astonished if you could have paid someone to come and do clever costumes or whatever. I think it's the actors doing it themselves, turning up as they are. So it's not listed in the rules, but that feels very Dogma 95.
Do people have to do more than one role?
No, but there was another movement, which I think was part. I can't remember which one it was, but one of the sort of subsets of Dogma was that you weren't allowed to have more than 10 people behind the camera. That's not on the original Dogma rules. But there is one role that you're not allowed to have, which I think you might be quite surprised about. So which role from filmmaking are you not allowed to have on a Dogma 95 film?
AI coordinating.
That's not in the list either. That would have been amazingly prophetic in the 1995 rules.
It's going to be next year.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Intimacy coordinator.
VFX? Is it VFX?
Bigger role. Keep going
Producer?
up.
A director?
Yes, director.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say director as well.
You are not allowed to have accredited director, and
it's a team effort.
Yep. And so
it's
part
a team
of
effort.
the statement that you have to sign your name to is, furthermore, I swear as a director to refrain from personal taste. I am no longer an artist. I swear to refrain from creating work as it regards the instance is more important than the whole. My supreme voice is to force the truth out of my characters and setting. I swear to do all I can by all means at the cost of any good taste and aesthetic considerations. So no directors.
Wow, what do we think about this then? A quick round robin. Hilary, what are your feelings on this?
Doesn't really sound like my kind of film.
No, I'm not sold.
I think that's probably why I haven't heard of it.
And then you've also got it has to happen now and here, so it can't have temporal or geographic alienation. It can't be a genre movie. It has to be shot in 35mm Academy. No optical work, no filters, no superficial action. So no murders, no weapons, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, sounds really
cool.
good.
YouTube video.
Yeah.
I love this.
All diegetic sound, even music.
Go on.
But Festen, the first film that they did under this 95 thing, did win Cannes. And so it's not so much I'm saying this is the way to make good films or not, but well, actually, you know, the really funny
I haven't seen
is,
it. Just
Neon picked it up.
Technically, whether it's good or not,
Good
it's
callback.
not a. It is the first official credited Dogma film ever, but the director has subsequently admitted that he put a curtain up on the location, which breaks the rules twice because it was both a prop and changing the lighting.
And he called himself a director, so that's
Wow.
twice.
Well, that was me. That was me.
You called him the
But it is
director.
interesting that that's the place we're getting to now, where, you know, as things become some things become more technical and some things are getting more expensive and changing, we're starting to see movements at the other end. And that's, you know, one of the nice things about the ebb and flow of art and culture in the industry is that you do start to see reactions and reactions and reactions and things like that.
We do. Which brings us on to AI nicely in some sort of way, right? Bringing us into that. How do we fit, like, in terms of the market, in terms of what's happening? Just quickly, let's touch on this. You know, there was a lot of talk there. The tech companies were there in droves doing talks. People were talking about AI a lot. I found on the streets, we didn't give a shit. Like, when we were talking to people, most filmmakers went, I don't care, not interested. It's not bothering me. It's there. It's a tool. I'm using it to help me in certain ways, like an assistant. But in terms of taking over the industry, I do not agree with it. I don't think it's happening, and it should be used to treat cancers and save the world in that way, rather than rewriting scripts and trying to direct movies. Let's go Dogma style on it. But anyway, what's our take on this round robin? Dimo, first of all, what's your take on this, the talk of the festival in terms of AI?
Well, it's already here. We're all using it in some capacity. The question is not to I wouldn't say not to allow it to use us, not at all, but not to put all our focus on it. Like going back 15 years ago, everybody wanted to do 3D films. Everything was 3D. Films, yeah, exactly. The films like dramas were in 3D. It was ridiculous. And I have the same feeling about AI now. We can use it. That's absolutely fine. But using it for 100% of your film or just putting it everywhere because it's convenient, I don't think that's filmmaking for me personally. So yes, let's use it. Let's allow it to contribute to our product, but let's not put all the attention into it. Because we already have it. We have so many AI films by themselves. And if we call ourselves filmmakers, we need to make something better, right?
Devil's advocate, they are making the story. They're sat there creating the story. I don't agree with it in that sense. And to be honest, I'm not that bothered about watching it. I'm sure there will be AI films, and I'm sure maybe you'll pick up an AI film. But I don't want to watch it myself. Kids might. There might be a whole new generation who want to.
That's the thing, Gen Z.
Did someone pitch you one? Did someone bring you one to look at?
Yeah. But my question then is, I can also read it. I can also write it. I mean, I have ChatGPT, I have Claude, I have Gemini, whatever you want. You can just go in there, spend a couple of hours, set up a couple of prompts, and you can have a decent story, right?
You can. Decent. I mean, I don't think it's any good, to be honest. It's getting better, but I think it's shit. Hilary, your opinion?
I've got a lot of opinions on both sides. I mean, I guess I left AI because I wanted to do film because I like working with people, and also because I want the fulfillment of expressing myself creatively. So I'm not like, and most of the time I'm a bit more like, when people try and ask me in Cannes, I am a bit more like, oh, I'm not really that interested. I don't really want to talk about it. But in preparation, I thought I did ask. So because I used to do robotics, I have a lot of friends. So what I used to do was actually,
have you built a robot?
Well, I did computer vision for mobile robots. So it's kind of the stuff I do really that's in like Waymos and Teslas and stuff now, because this was back in 2018. Wow. But I mean, I was part of a massive lab. I wasn't like doing anything.
No, you designed it. It was all your work.
But I was doing a PhD, but then I quit my PhD to do film because I just found it kind of like, I went into robotics because I genuinely wanted to like help humanity, and I thought I wanted to populate other planets, really, and that was like my main kind of thinking, like,
wow,
How are we going to
bringing it back
get
to
humanity
sex.
to really I don't know. I wanted to protect us against the future more, and I can't. But then I thought
this is quite well-meaning supervillain vibes.
the further I got into it, the more I felt. First of all, I wasn't enjoying it, and I was like, it's very competitive, and I thought, why is it me instead of someone else, really, when I don't enjoy it? But the second thing was, I was like, what is the culture that I really wanted to protect? Because I don't know, sometimes you look into AI and you're like, is it going to be recognizable as us? Like, if I want to preserve us, is that what I'm doing? But anyway, basically, people are always like, so how are you going to use your robotics in film? And I was like, actually, I went to film to get away from it, so I don't. And so I don't really want to use AI.
Yeah, you don't want it now.
But
No.
I still have a lot of friends for my PhD who work in that now. And some of them genuinely work for those companies that are trying to replace film. So I thought I'd ask them a bit about it. And my friend did send me this film, which was really good. And it kind of had a video of how it was made. And it did show me how, like, the person making it, like, so basically you generate like 10 seconds but you need like 100 generations of that 10 seconds, and you pick your takes basically, because a lot of them are fucked up, so you can't use them anyway. Right. And then some of them are like slight differences in angles, like differences and you like need to rewrite your prompts and stuff. So it is sort of a little bit like directing. Well, you are directing, I guess. You are a person that's like making choices and then, seeing what the actor did and telling them how to do it again. So it isn't, I don't think it's fair to say that you could do the same thing that someone else does. Like, I think there is like a personal input in it. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't seem very fun. And I kind of think, like, why, when there are so many problems to be solved, why is everyone focused on this? And I think it's just because I think two reasons, if you want to let me keep talking.
Give us two, please. Yeah.
I think firstly, it's kind of fun and the film industry seems sexy and people want to be doing it and that's their way of doing it. And secondly, it's a low-hanging fruit kind of problem, because doing mobile robots, where I think actually will help humanity a lot more, is way more difficult. And I think, like, when you think about the people that are doing these companies, they're kind of entrepreneurs, like tech bro type people that have started the company, and they're trying to make something that's kind of sexy and get a lot of investment, and that's kind of their motivation. And when I was doing it, like, a lot of my friends were going into entrepreneurial stuff, the whole thing was everyone was like, I want to make the world a better place. I do feel like people have stopped saying that. They're just kind of trying to do, it's like a trend of what's cool. But yeah, I guess I really think that maybe if this problem gets boring or relatively solved, then they might at least turn their attention to the more important stuff, I think.
I agree with you, Hilary. I hope they do turn it to more important stuff. And I think you're right. It's just an easy topic, and it's easier to put prompts in, write to me a script, than it is to cure this cancer. You can write that in, but that doesn't mean it's going to cure it. But it might actually write you a script that is terrible, but you could improve it. Whereas if I wrote about the cancer, I have no idea how to do that or to help robots. And I think you're exactly right with that. It's easier. It's an easier in. Like, everyone's got an iPhone, and you can shoot a film if you want type story. The same here. You can put prompts in and write a script. Again, doesn't mean it's any good. Dom, I'm dying to hear your take on this. I think it's fascinating.
I mean, there's certain things that I use a very mild AI for, and I mean, like
a mild curry.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Like, if I'm looking for the best coffee shop around,
there you go.
Rather than searching through like 15 Google searches, I'll ask for the best recommendations in an area, or like food. And then I'll Google the top 3 that it comes up with. And it will often come up with like 3 of the ones that genuinely are really good. That saves me time. If I've got like a line of script and I just cannot figure out a way for a character to say something, but I've already got what they've supposed to say and I need it sort of jigged around or whatever, I'll feed something very, very small in. But I also feel like in scripts, the 3 things that make script very, very good and memorable and impactful, and maybe what some of the more hollow, film by numbers scripts and projects don't have, is the 3 key ingredients, which is personalized, good structure, and something that sort of feels real and kind of lived in.
Emotional.
And scripts can probably get the structure down, but can it get the sort of the personalized side? Can it get the impactful meaningfulness that the writer has injected, which has actual lived in, millions of subtexts into it? It could, but they're not going to be relevant and they're not necessarily going to have any kind of collective grounding. So I think for certain script things, I feel like it's a long way off creating something that's really good. And I feel like maybe just to circle back to some of those original projects that we've mentioned, even in the sort of horror genre that have done very, very well. What they've done very well is that their original voices. They're someone that's sort of come out there and they've done something that they personally find is really interesting and unique. And I feel like the AI route of just creating something by the numbers is where maybe some of the more empty projects that people aren't connecting with and that feel safe is where people are going wrong.
I agree.
That's my main take on AI. I think some of the VFX-y stuff, as long as it doesn't replace everyone, great. Last takeaway, I won't mention any names, but I feel like the idea of removing background actors and sets, not super, super great for a lot of people in the industry that are maybe getting breaks in those areas.
Yeah, let's come back
VFX
to that.
as well.
VFX as well. Go on, Dimo.
Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned, there aren't that good scripts, but joking aside, it's a fact that I've received so many scripts written by people who are worse than what the current AI can make. So that's my argument in terms of the prompts. You can write a script, it's going to be bad, but
failed human prompts.
But you've read a lot of worse ones. So
that's interesting. And let's get the word on this from a data analyst then, who does understand this side and has thought about this a lot and has gone into the prompts himself. Stephen Follows, what's your take on this and what's happening with it?
It's interesting to see what people are reflecting, what their fears are. So I was at the Zurich Film Festival last year when Tilly Norwood, the AI actress, was announced. And the actual talk itself, everyone in the room, there's about 100 of us, thought it wasn't bad. I'm not shitting on it. It's just there was nothing spectacular about it, and it didn't really mean much. But because Deadline were there, they were the official partner, they knew how to write their headline, which got everyone for the next week or two incredibly angry and saying the thing they wanted to say. And I felt very sorry for the Tilly Norwood team. I've got no affinity to them. I don't really know them, but I felt like the people were having a debate without including them. It's like, well, this thing represents this, and I hate that, so I hate that. And actually, that was much more subtle and nuanced than that. Actually, I thought, and the same thing is going on here. It's just a projection of our fears. It doesn't mean it's not real. It just means that people are, fighting against what they're most scared about. And the idea of losing one's voice, not getting an opportunity, or losing a job or an income are utterly terrifying things for good reason. Like we should protect those things. And there will be massive changes. Some jobs won't change, some will. I think a lot of people working coding have been surprised over the last 3 or 4 years how their jobs have been the first to go. They presumed they were the last to go. And actually, but then it changes what it is. I think the idea of knowing what your code does was essential a few years ago, and will, for better or for worse, it's definitely for worse, people aren't going to know how their code does what they do. Vibe coding is becoming more ubiquitous. So it's all kind of terrifying. But it was interesting at Cannes this year because Steven Soderbergh had a documentary called John Lennon, The Last Interview, which wasn't in Cannes, but was given an official screening by Cannes. So is on the Cannes website and was sort of embraced in that sense. 10% of the runtime of that film was using Meta's AI-generated videos. And so, we talked before about the incestuous nature. Meta is an official sponsor. They also provided the tools for this film. But Soderbergh himself, when he was asked about it, he said that he asked himself 3 questions. So this isn't kind of like a manifesto, but he was saying, how does he think about it? And he said, the first thing he said was, it has to be necessary. So, is it necessary? Number 2, is it the only way to accomplish what I want to see? And number 3, is it truly the best way of doing this? I'm not suggesting those are hard and fast rules. They are not the 3 commandments or whatever. But it is interesting to think about, are people going to it because they're lazy, or are they going to it because it opens new doors? So I guess my take is I'm really excited to see what was never possible before, never even conceived of as we couldn't do as artists, and now we can. And I'm particularly uninterested in just doing things quicker. I don't think we're saving very much money on the script writing side. Because there's a very small percentage of the overall cost base of a film, and it's the things that people are most excited about doing themselves. What they're really using AI for is either, as I said, lazy, or it's control in a slightly scary. They don't want to credit people. They don't want to pay anyone. They want to be able to treat the writer like shit, and that's easier if it's an interface. So the intentions and the reasons why people do things are more interesting to me than where the tech is today, because as Hilary said, you're having to do 100 prompts today. Next week it'll be 50, and then after that it'll be 1. But does that actually progress the art, or is that just that it's now easier to do this thing? That doesn't get to the underlying point.
The nuclear
No,
button.
it doesn't get to the underlying
I do have
point.
one. I was wondering, one question. Do you think that it'll actually make? Because obviously, like what they're saying to their investors is this is going to be a profitable thing, right? To make a company that makes this AI.
Of course.
But like all I get in all of the meetings with everyone in film is like, oh, the industry's so shit. Like we don't have any money. Let's make everything cheaper. Like my friend's like, oh yeah, well there's money in Hollywood. It's like, did anyone tell you guys that there's really not much money in Hollywood? And is it really going to be a money-making thing for you guys to do this?
True, but on the other hand, so that's very true. But one of the other things about it is people are saying, well, these AI films are shit. Well, Hollywood films are shit. So it doesn't go to
exactly.
I'm not saying that.
I'm
not saying that the same kind of shit.
Yeah.
I'm saying that that's not the barrier. The marketing and the IP control, gatekeepers, means of distribution is the real battle. This is solving a problem that isn't necessarily a problem, and I'm using solving there in quotes.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was trying to allude to earlier. I feel like the same issues of making the same by the numbers films, the approach for AI and the approach for Hollywood are kind of in the same camp. It's just making something that's generic and easy that doesn't feel, that people aren't connecting with because it doesn't feel real.
Yes, and I think that's the main issue, isn't it? But I think where it is at the moment doing really well, or sort of helping the filmmakers, is our assistive AI, which is like dubbing, storyboarding, post-production, scheduling. That's where people are losing jobs, especially in storyboarding area, sound design, etc., scheduling. It really is taking over and making a big difference. And for the indie filmmakers, it is helping us because we not necessarily can afford to do a budget or to do a schedule at first, because you often have to pay someone skilled to do this. And these days you can put the prompts in and you can do a rough version. That's not taking away creative. It's just helping you as a filmmaker maybe get to the next level. As Dimo said, when you come in the room prepared and ready, well, a lot of indie filmmakers 5 years ago could not do that. They didn't know how to do that and they couldn't afford to do it. Whereas now you can.
And those things were barriers to their art in a way that it wasn't meant to be. Like it wasn't like it was a barrier to them getting the work out there. And I've genuinely lost count. I swear to God, this is true. I genuinely lost count of how many people in Cannes pitched me, I've got this new startup where we take in your script and we create your storyboards or your pre-production.
Yes. Yeah,
like I think everyone had one, and one of them will succeed. I'm sure maybe two of them. But I
don't have one.
Would you like one? I've probably got three.
Oh, no. Thank you.
I'll just hold on. I'll vibe code one now. Oh, look, I've done it.
There you go.
I think that the only problem there is that the same thing that happens when someone's got a script they've written. They're like, oh my God, I've done it. You're welcome, guys. This is the best one ever because I did it. And you're like,
yeah.
Yes.
But I was going to say, if you have like, if you go from like having, say, 100 people working on one film to basically saying each of these 100 people now just make their own film, because now you only need one person to make a film, but they all still want to be in the film industry. So they don't need to work together anymore. Then we just have like 100 films where we had one film, but is that going to be a good thing? No. Or is that just going to mean that even more they're going to get lost in the noise and like it's all going to be completely pointless?
Dimo?
I think it should be a tool. It should be a tool which helps you put everything in place, as you mentioned. But it shouldn't be a leading element for how you make your film.
That's it. Well, let's just wrap this up then, because it's really interesting. How do we thrive next year, right, in terms of moving forward into 2026, based on this year's data, based on what we've talked about? Yeah, exactly. Be quicker with everything. Do we still rely on the traditional market pre-sales? That's the question. Do we spend the summer sort of courting private capital, equity, high net worth individuals, which I'm doing all the time anyway, because that seems to be the current reality of indie filmmaking? What do we do for next year? Moving forward into Cannes, let's bring that to Dimo first. In terms of next year, do we rely on pre-sales? Do we prime private equity? Just wrap this up into sort of as quickly as we can to get through to the end.
Putting it like that, you can rely on pre-sales if you have cast. If you have cast. If you don't have cast, you can't rely on it in any way. So I would say for an indie filmmaker, it's more important to, as I mentioned earlier, to know exactly what you want to achieve with your project and to put everything in place as much as you can and try and start reaching out. if you have contacts, if you have access to cast, good. Then we can discuss pre-sales. If you have a great story, if it's in the proper genre space, like we mentioned, like the horrors, romantic comedies, YA films as well, they're still there. If you're there, then and if you have a great story, then yeah, absolutely. But if it's something else and you just want to make money, then you need to have cast. It's still there, but the market is in a better place. You just need to know what the audience wants right now. That's another question which probably we need to discuss on a future podcast. But the generations, that's a very important topic now, and especially I studied the numbers of Devil Wears Prada because it's a very good example. We need to figure out what to do with the Gen Zs because they are the number one generation that goes to cinemas nowadays. But at the same time, they don't go to the same films which we were used to watching in the last, 20, 30 years. Yeah. So this is changing and we need to figure out how to attract them. And I would say if that's the main thing I would put my effort and attention to is how to attract the people which don't go to the cinemas nowadays. And as well, be attractive, have your project be attractive to the people who already go there. It's that kind of a balance.
That's really, really great observation. And what about you, Hilary, then, in terms of, let's say, you're, from your side of this as well, and maybe talking about a project that didn't get traction at this year's Cannes, what should you do at this point, moving forward?
Are you saying my project didn't get traction?
No, I'm saying if. I know your project did. What would you do if it didn't? What would you do now? Trying to help our filmmakers out.
I don't know. I was trying to think. I mean, I guess I have so much to say on what Dimo just said actually about generation thing. It kind of, but it's fine. Just too many things I want to say. I guess if you had a project that didn't get traction, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Cannes is really the place.
Everything I touch has traction.
Turns to gold.
No. I mean, it's like I feel like Cannes isn't the place. Isn't like to me. I just go to Cannes to network, and it's like everything kind of. It takes years to get something off the ground, it doesn't all happen at Cannes. But, and I do think that, the work we put in before Cannes, and actually, I really liked AFM this year. I thought that was really good. So just to throw that one out there too.
Much better. Contained.
Yeah. I actually went by accident. I didn't even get a ticket to it.
I just fell into it.
I was in LA, so I thought I'm going to go check it out. And then I was like, wow, there are loads of people here I know. I started talking to people, just started getting involved and stuff. And I was like, actually, I met so many great people and some great friends.
Randomly spotted at the Fairmont Hotel.
I didn't know it was going on. I didn't literally stumble into it, but I just happened to be in LA. But I
just happened to be.
Yeah, I do think that thing about actually I do think there's a problem in the industry that the Gen Z thing, like I've noticed trying to sell a film that is aimed at teenagers, when before when I was pitching around, that the people that you're pitching it to are mostly like middle-aged men that don't understand teenage girls like at all, and trying to tell them why this film is for them, it's like really hard. Sometimes I'm just like, is there someone else?
Anyone younger?
It's hard to try and explain to them, what they. I don't know. Sometimes maybe if people should just try and get a vibe of if you think the filmmaker understands their audience. If they don't, I would put that out there. But yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Hilary. Stephen, from your perspective then, what should filmmakers be doing right now?
I mean, I think... Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, planning, sort of, for next year's Cannes, planning for their year ahead. What do you think?
I think, this isn't that you want to go all the way there, but the more you can be non-dependent on existing systems, the more control you're going to have. And there are very good things that the industry does well and that you shouldn't try and replace. I'm not suggesting that the first port of call for everyone should be to fund it themselves and distribute it themselves. I'm not saying that. However, the more you are able to lower your budget, the more you are able to build an audience. The more you are able to do exactly what the guys here have been saying about understanding your audience. The more control you're going to have, the more you'll be able to filter down, because there's only ever going to be a small number of possible partners in the film industry for you. There might be 16,000 people in Cannes, but there's probably fewer than 20 who would realistically do a deal with you. But you don't need that many. And exactly as Dimo was saying, the onus is on you to do that work in advance, so that when you do reach out to the few people, it shouldn't be a problem to personalize your emails for your meetings, because there shouldn't be that many. Like, if you genuinely don't have time to do the 5 minutes of research and 2 seconds of writing an email type, then you're emailing too many people, and you're wasting their time.
That's what you use AI for, by the way. That's one thing.
Filter it out.
And so the more
just having your due diligence on a company or on a person. Sorry,
so
Stephen,
important.
for
no, you're absolutely right. And it's all on the surface. It's not like Dino's hiding and pretending to be into one kind of film and he's actually anot's all over his
car
website
right now.
It's like, it's proud and it's loud, and it's exactly what he's doing. So it's not going to be hard to do this research. But so the more you can be not dependent on other people or systems, because these systems are changing. Some are falling apart, some are evolving, some are just changing for better or for worse. But the more you're able to be like, okay, I know I only need to go to a small number of gatekeepers for this small number of things I need. Otherwise, I can be in control of a team that works for me or with me to do the things I want. The more likely your film is to get made and be a success. And you'll own some of that success, and even the success on the success, the sequel, the IP, the profits. They're much more likely to go to you or to people that you care about.
They really are likely to go to more people you care about that way. I love that. And Dom, then, let's say you've got a load of business cards now, you've got a load of phone numbers, you've got a load of Instagram ads. What follow-up strategy, makes you look more professional than desperate? What, in your opinion, works?
I mean, I'd sort of prepared an answer on the previous question, but...
That's what happened to me.
Hey, I've mixed it up. I've changed it up. I want to get more options.
That was a long time ago, Dom. That was a long time ago.
Look, I didn't take millions of business cards. I connect with people on like either LinkedIn or Instagram, because then I actually remember. I remember their face. Like that's first tip. And sometimes it's not right, and like you can tell. Like for instance, I'll give you a quick anecdote with the head of Paramount Plus. And we were sort of chatting, and it's like someone like that you don't ask for their Instagram. Someone that came along and had the conversation was like asking for the Instagram, and it was
you
just
on
like
Tinder?
and you just don't in that situation. You got to know, pick your battle. Go for the LinkedIn, like someone at that level.
Or the phone tap. I love the phone.
Yeah, or the phone tap.
The phone tap's good, isn't it?
It's like being a wizard, isn't it?
Also, here's a tip about that though. As soon as you do it, screenshot it, because otherwise you forget their name.
That's very true.
Yeah,
that can happen too. Great tip.
Yeah,
so go on, Dom.
That would be the first one, and I, honestly, like, kind of alluding to what we've already said, but don't just focus on the festival. Focus on the rest of the year. Like, I feel like the big swings, like anything where you can jump out of your comfort zone, you can jump on a plane, you can take something that shows that you're like doing everything humanly possible to get your film made and to meet other filmmakers. A, to show to yourself, and B, to show to others. I mean, I was recently very inspired by that guy, Carl Bushby, who's like walked 36,000 miles from one end of the earth to the other. And when he didn't get a visa, he walked to the Russian embassy in America and then walked back again to get a visa for Russia. I feel like that's the sort of level, you can look at the changing industry, you can look at, the horror of AI, and you can look at how hard it is in the market to get stuff made. Or you can be someone that has that mindset, which is like, I am going to do everything humanly possible to get my film made. I am going to do everything possible to plan for my film. I'm not going to rely on someone just funding it, throwing me a magic wand, doing all the legwork for me. I am going to go out and do all of those steps myself. And I feel like that's the tip to do. Like, don't just rely on one festival or one event or one magic person. Go out there and, make a million decisions that are going to benefit your career.
Yeah.
Amazing.
To add to that, I mentioned earlier, you need to be in Cannes. Absolutely. It's the place to be. But you need to work the other 360 or 50 days a year as well towards your goal. Yeah, depending on how long you're in Cannes.
You should take Christmas off, though. I think I think
sure.
There's Christmas Day
Morning,
Christmas morning. Let's compromise.
We
that.
have way too many holidays before Cannes in Bulgaria. So yeah, I'm running about 350, especially in our first year of Quantify. We had to put a lot of effort into it because it's a startup. So yeah, 340. Can we round it?
All right.
Deal done.
Deal done. Okay. Yeah, but you need to work the rest of the year. You can go there, you can have all your meetings, you can pitch to whoever you want in Cannes, but the rest of the year you need to be working because, it is a shit market, but as Dom mentioned, you can achieve it. You can make your product if you put in the work.
Love that. Love it. Filmmakers, the takeaway is really clear. The market is changing. The opportunities for independent, commercial, genre cinema are absolutely there if you play the game smartly. You've got to protect your budgets. You've got to build the right sales relationships. You've got to be strategic. We talked about the Hollywood streaming deals. It might be quieter, but as Dimo said, the industry is healthy at the moment. It's healthier. It's a healthier market in Cannes. How do you get the Gen Z generation into the cinema? Think about that. It is a long game. Got to think about that too. But don't let your summer momentum fade. Get to your desk, follow up on those meetings, and as Dimo said, make it personal. Don't just send a random email. Work out what Dimo's done before. Mention the Dare, for God's sake. Mention Summer Diva and
Filmmakers
sessions.
Podcast networking
Filmmakers
sessions.
Podcast networking events. It's quite easy when people do that and they make it much nicer for you. So thank you so much to our incredible panel. Hilary Shakespeare, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
If anyone wants
Dom
to find
Lenoir.
me, by the way, I'm Shakespeare Sisters. That's the easier way.
Yes, find the Shakespeare Sisters. If you haven't yet, if you're not following them online, please do. They're amazing. Got so many great things going on. It's you should be
buy
following
one of their
the Shakespeare
lanyards.
Sisters. Like one of their lanyards, which is another marketing tool we didn't talk about.
Yeah, I
The
was going to say
Shakespeare
actually,
Sisters
next
had their own
we need to get
lanyards.
more merch for the podcast.
Yeah, that is true. Wearing your own merch is a very good thing. Yeah. Also, Dom Lenoir, thank you for joining us as always.
Pleasure.
Absolutely. Stephen Follows for your data analyzing of everything. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for our amazing sales and distribution man of the moment, Dimo Alexandrov, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been, I've been wanting to get on that podcast for the last, since I've known you, like almost 10 years now. 10 years later, I got the invitation, so I appreciate it big time, Giles.
Well, that's really funny because I don't want to be here ever, and he always forces me to do it. We should have talked much earlier.
He likes you better.
I'm kidding. I'm just for the avoidance of doubt. I'm definitely kidding.
You finally made it, Dimo. You finally made it.
Yes, I am now successful. Thank you so much, Giles. I appreciate it big time.
Oh,
thank you.
Give him the badge.
No, honestly.
We'll give you a lanyard.
It was a nice conversation.
Absolute pleasure. Look, if you took a value out of today's episode, do us a massive favor. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Head over to our YouTube channel. Watch our fully filmed episodes where Dom is superstar and he's smashing through them as well. Keep writing, keep shooting. And if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, it is your duty to
send the canovator back down.
Send the canovator back down or elevator. What else? We will see you all next Tuesday. Thanks so much for listening. You're amazing. Because Tuesday, by the way, we've got a huge AI episode talking all about AI, what's happening with that at the moment. We've got an AI specialist joining us. So therefore, that is going to be exciting. Right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Giles. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Why am I waving
Yay.
on an audio
That
podcast?
was fun. He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
now we can do the podcast.